Okay, so the next sauce that we're going to go through is a Hollandaise sauce. So this is an emulsified sauce using egg yolks. Essentially it's very similar to making a mayonnaise. It's just hot, and instead of oil there's butter. Butter is the fat that you use in it. And there's an additional process, whereas with the mayonnaise you would add some vinegar or some lemon juice in the base. With a Hollandaise you start off with a reduction. So that's what we're going to do first. So in this bowl we've got some pink peppercorns, we've got some bay leaf, we've got some banana shallots, and then we've got a third of it is water, a third of it is white wine, and a third of it is white wine vinegar. So we're going to pop that into our pan. Okay. We've also got some tarragon stalks, because later on we're going to turn it into a béarnaise sauce. So I'm going to show you the basic Hollandaise, and then I'm going to turn it into a béarnaise, which is a derivative of Hollandaise. So we're going to turn that up, and we're going to get that to boiling point. When that gets to boiling point, we're then going to turn it down and allow it to reduce. And we want to reduce it by a good 80 to 90%. We want to intensify that flavour and make that flavour really pink. You've got to think ahead, because if you taste it now, it's not going to have a huge amount of flavour. When it's reduced, the flavour is going to be absolutely intense. But you've got to imagine that when you dilute it with the fat from the butter and the egg yolks and mustard and everything along those lines and more lemon juice, then you are stretching that reduction out. So that flavour then is stretched out throughout the Hollandaise. So it's, a lot of the time with cooking, it's about thinking what's going on ahead and trying to imagine what's going on ahead. That's why we always taste. That's why we're constantly tasting, we're constantly thinking about what's going on. So, because I'm using an induction stove, my reduction is coming to the boil very quickly. So I'm going to turn this down to a medium heat, a medium-high heat. I just want those little bubbles tickling over. Okay, it's going to soften the shallots, it's going to soften the tarragon stalk, it's going to draw out the flavour from the pink peppercorns. In my other pan, I'm going to take a block of butter. So this is unsalted butter, unsalted Cornish butter. And I'm just going to melt that gently, very gently. By melting it gently, it means that the fat and the milk solids are going to separate. We don't want to use the milk solids, we just want to use the fat from it. It's really important that you use butter for this. You can't really do it with margarine or any other form of fat. It's incredibly important that you do it with butter. Now you can do kind of a modern take on it, is to do olive oil Hollandaises. So that would be either using just a pomace oil, and when you whip your yolks you can add your pomace oil, or you can do it with a blend of 50% butter fat and finishing it with some really good quality olive oil. So there's lots of modern takes, lots of modern ways of tweaking and twisting and adding creativity to your sauce and marrying that flavour throughout. Okay? So another really good way is to do things like warm tartar sauces and making Hollandaises and finishing it with things like capers and gherkins and tarragon and parsley and lemon zest. Absolutely beautiful. So we're going to allow this to reduce. We're going to allow the butter to melt. Once the butter's melted, once this is reduced, then I'll show you the whipping of the egg yolks and finishing off the Hollandaise sauce. So we're going to finish our Hollandaise sauce. So our Hollandaise sauce is finished over a bain-marie. So in our bowl we've got 2 egg yolks, we've got a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and we can put in the syrup from our reduction. So then we start whisking. And this is something that you need to take out, put back in, take out, put back in. You don't want to scramble it. The last thing you want to do is end up with a scrambled egg. But you need to cook the proteins out from the egg. So initially we're whisking, we're getting everything emulsified together, and we're bringing it together. It's going to start to thicken. It's going to start to go a bit creamy, a bit fluffy, and a bit lighter. Once it's at that stage, we can start streaming in the same that you would oil for a mayonnaise. We're going to add a fine stream and get that incorporated in. And then we're going to add more butter. We're going to gently add more, a fine stream as it's going in. And it will start to thicken. You can, if you pop it on your tea towel or your cloth, or get someone to help you, that would make life a lot easier for you. So it's already starting to come together, it's already starting to thicken, it's already starting to emulsify. Once it starts that, you can start adding a bit more, and you can be a bit more brave with the volume of butter that you're putting in. Turn that off, that's done its job. So the colour of this is purely down to the egg yolks. So these are some new egg yolks, absolutely wonderful. That will be the colour base to your hollandaise. The butter will obviously add a little bit of colour to it, but it's predominantly going to come from these egg yolks. We're just watching, we're just steaming through it. So this is nearly together. So this is fine, so I'm happy with this. So this is slightly too thick. So one of the reasons why I've allowed it to go slightly too thick is to show. If we mixed it to the perfect consistency, when we add the lemon juice, it's going to be too thin. We can't then add more butter to thicken it. So we're going to add our lemon juice. So our lemon juice will add some wonderful acidity. And as you can see, by adding the lemon juice, it starts to loosen that hollandaise. Now, depending on what you want to use the hollandaise for, depends on how thick you want the hollandaise to be. If you want the hollandaise to be for a dip, then you're going to want it slightly thicker. If you're going to want it as a sauce for a steak, so like a béarnaise, you're going to want it slightly thinner. If you're going to want it to coat some asparagus and then to be gratinated, you're going to want it a more kind of looser consistency. So we're almost there. Another thing you can do, which is quite a good tip, is you can take some of the hot water that you used on your bain-marie, and you can add a spoonful of that, and that will also help to loosen and get it down to more of a consistency that you want. So that's at the consistency that I want. So I'm going to add some freshly chopped tarragon. And I'm going to mix that through. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. There we go. That is our hollandaise. We have turned into a béarnaise sauce. Thank you very much.